Hello everyone and welcome to Inside Gaming Daily for Thursday. We're in a weird house, man.
We're in 2007 YouTube.
Yeah, welcome. Enjoy the nostalgia because it's not gonna last for too much longer. We're out filming Arizona Circle right now, so we're in weird situations. But luckily, we can bring our Switches with us when we travel because it's about to become probably the world's most popular platform for a couple of reasons. First off, Nintendo has released some details about the two new Switch models they've got coming. It has been reported in the past that Nintendo is planning two new models of the Switch, a somewhat beefed up kind of pro gamer version, pixelated sunglasses and a Monster Energy drink flying out of it, and a stripped down, more budget-friendly version for the dumb kids you don't care about. Why save up money for college when you can just throw a cheap Switch at them? So we got some details about both of those, especially the cheaper model. Looks like Nintendo's trying to get the cheaper model out before this holiday season. Makes sense. That's typically when families do a lot of the purchasing. When a family's involved, they buy the cheapest thing they can find because they don't care about you. I have a lot of pent-up issues. I don't know if that's coming out now or not. So this comes from the Japanese publication Nikkei, which says that the smaller budget Switch is due in stores this fall. Pretty safe bet, makes sense to us. But why so soon? We've been hearing for months about how the Switch has all this momentum on its side, but it's been reported that Nintendo is worried about a sales slump. Doesn't mean it's happening yet, but that it could happen, which is why they're furiously working on these new models. Makes sense. It's part of their MO too. Every time the 3DS started to taper off, they would launch a new one and it would shoot right back up there again. So we got some more details about the Switch Junior, right? I wish we had a better name for it, but that's what it is for now.
Yeah, there were some Western outlets who actually did some good translations of the Nikkei story. They didn't just use Google Translate like the rest of us. But according to them, Nikkei says that the little Switch is designed for handheld play. No surprise there. It reportedly sees the Switch Junior as a successor to the 3DS, which is pretty much dead at this point. They're not really making a lot of new stuff for it anymore.
Yeah, it's strange because I remember when the Switch was coming out, they told investors over and over, don't worry, this is a third pillar in addition to our console and handheld space. But I think they were just telling investors that at the time to make them calm down because handhelds always do so well for Nintendo. I think investors were a little skittish about replacing that market. And here we are. We are basically replacing the 3DS with a Switch, like we kind of all thought would be the case. This is contrary to some earlier reports, which may have just ended up being speculation or translation errors like Brian mentioned. Nikkei says that you will be able to hook it up to your TV through the docking system. It's not clear if it'll have its own smaller dock or it'll use the current dock. As for the one that we all care about, because we're all pro gamers here in this big empty house, whew. That won't be coming out this fall. Apparently that's further away. The delay is because it's, quote, not entirely clear who at Nintendo is heading up the concept creation of the Switch Pro, which does seem like a problem.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, right? I think it's maybe more of a Japanese work culture kind of thing. They probably want one person to really spearhead the project and they just don't know who that is yet. Or they don't understand what that device is supposed to be. Then they might have a new 3DS situation on their hands where they have a higher spec, but only like 4 games use it. Makes it really hard to communicate to the audience who it's for and why. Regardless, I need those pro gamer grips. I need my little Monster Energy drink cup holder on my Switch, so I'll be in line day one to get one. Lord knows I'm a whore for Nintendo products. How about you, Brian? Are you excited for a Pro Switch?
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna buy at least one of these, if not both, because I can't stop wasting money. The Pro one seems interesting, but I don't know what it'll look like. Like, are they gonna make exclusive games for it? Probably not. If it has a longer battery life, I'll buy it just because of that.
So what will a mini Switch look like? We can speculate. There's been some questions about will it have removable Joy-Cons or will it just be one big chunk, kind of like the 2DS, the little axe wedge? There has been an image making the rounds that reportedly shows what a mini Switch looks like, and if that image is real, it's much, much smaller than the original and also has permanently connected Joy-Cons. But a lot of people are skeptical, right, Brian?
First of all, it looked really tiny to me. It looks like Andre the Giant holding a regular size Switch. Like, it's really small. Plus, the image doesn't show the front of the device, just the rear. So it's possible somebody could have 3D printed a fake just to get the internet stirred up. There are industrious fakers out there, so this has happened before. Analyst Daniel Ahmad has tweeted about this. He doesn't think it's real because he says the model number and the FCC ID on the back is the same as the original Switch, so we could be looking at a fake here.
That's all we know for now at this point. 2 new Switches, super double confirmed by Nintendo. The smaller one's probably gonna be out this year in time for Christmas, so you can buy people you don't care about an expensive gadget to express an emotion you don't have. Great.
Yeah, this is the Switch for your nephew. That's what this should be called.
Yeah, because their parents are busy doing meth. Anyway, let's move on to the other headline that's gonna propel Nintendo into the atmosphere. It is releasing the Switch in China, which is a big news. We've been talking a lot about China on this channel lately because they're factoring more and more into the game space. So the Wall Street Journal is reporting this, that Nintendo is partnering with Chinese mega corporation Tencent. Remember them? They're back. And Switch Forum to sell Switches in China. And an industry regulator in China has already provisionally approved Tencent's application to sell New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. What the hell of a name is that? I actually really love that game and I'm gonna buy it, but Christ, how much stuff can they bolt onto the end of a Super Mario Brothers game? So why Tencent, Brian? Why do we keep hearing about these guys?
Well, they probably already have your credit card for one, so it's just easier. When it comes to Chinese gaming, it is definitely the big dog in the yard. It has its hands in video game companies all over the world. It's actually been ranked as the biggest games company in the world 6 years in a row. All by itself, it accounts for nearly 15% of the global games market, so it is massive.
Yeah, and it's not just in China either. As you probably heard through some either fear-mongering or accurate reporting, our videos, Tencent has put a lot of money into Western companies as well. It owns a minority stake in Epic Games. Riot Games is 100% owned by Tencent. Tencent also owns a stake in Activision Blizzard, and it owns most of Supercell, the company that makes Clash of Clans. No surprise, Activision Blizzard's making a mobile-focused Diablo for the Chinese market. Weird coincidence, right? Tencent also has partnerships with Take-Two Interactive to make the NBA 2K games available in China, as well as Square Enix. We're in the age of megacorps, man. It's cyberpunk. This was supposed to be cool. So when it comes to video games in China, Tencent is obviously the biggest player. And if companies like Nintendo want to crack the Chinese market, they legally have to partner with a Chinese company like Tencent because China's cool like that. So Daniel Ahmad was back with some analysis in this regard too, right, Brian?
Yeah, he noted that Nintendo has been wanting to get into the Chinese market for a while now, and company officials, they're regularly asked by investors about that topic. It's no secret why they want to. It's massive. Chinese gamers spent almost $38 billion last year.
Another analyst, Serkintoto, Dr. Serkintoto,
yeah, he'll correct you on that,
says that Nintendo has blamed tough Chinese regulations as a reason why the Switch isn't there yet. But earlier this year, it added Chinese language support to the Switch's UI, and last week it did the same thing to the NES games on the Switch online service, so clearly there have been some rumblings there. A lot of people with their ear to the ground have been waiting for this, especially those that might have a stake in Nintendo. For its part, China hasn't been very hospitable to foreign companies or consoles for that matter. It banned foreign companies from selling consoles in 2000, but that was lifted in 2014. Kind of part of a intent to shape the culture of the youth of China or whatever by not giving them murder simulators like we love so much here in America. We turned out okay. This isn't Nintendo's first jaunt over the Great Wall, right, John?
Back in 2002, they established a joint venture company called iQII with the Chinese company Weiyin to sell Nintendo consoles. They kind of did it in a sneaky way. They marketed them as handhelds or plug-and-play systems. It also released the 3DS in China. They had some really beautiful exclusive models, but iQII did not distribute the Wii U, and it recently shut down its hardware business. So it looks like that partnership has fizzled out, and they've gone with the new hotness that is Tencent.
I'll pour one out for all the poor Chinese gamers out there that couldn't enjoy the wonders of Lego City Undercover. Wait, it's on the Switch. There's a single good game on Wii U that's not out on Switch. As for the Switch, it's been out in Hong Kong since day one, but not the rest of China. Although there have been some imported models trickling in on the gray market. That's kind of the not legal, but nobody really cares version of Chinese economy of stuff that gets brought in from Western markets. However, releasing the Switch through Tencent gives it obviously much more official backing. Although consoles in China are not nearly as popular as mobile or PC games, Nintendo could be hoping that gamers there will like the Switch because of its portability, also because of its slight crossover with mobile. It's got like touchscreen games and stuff like that. There's some mobile ports on there. So maybe it'll be the like little half step that a lot of Chinese gamers need to, it feels like such a weird phrase to say. It feels wrong. I was just pretending to be racist. We love you guys. You can't watch this anyway. According to one market researcher, the so-called gray market console sales in China hit 92 million last year, which is a pretty tiny fraction of the overall market. So it's easy to see that entire culture as untapped potential, but at the same time, they may not just be down with that. One thing's for sure though, investors have loved the news because why wouldn't you if you're about to break into one of the biggest gaming markets in the world? Nintendo's stock price has shot up by more than 13% today after the news that it's going to China. Nintendo still has some regulatory hurdles to get through, but this is a huge development for Nintendo. Not only do we have 2 new pieces of hardware coming out in America, the country that matters most, but also they're going to break into China, which is a huge market, and they are developing an appetite for electronics and consumer goods at an alarming rate. So yeah, we could be looking at the 2007 era of Nintendo all over again, where they're just rich.
They're about to sell to your nephews and the communists, so they got all their bases covered.
All glory to Nintendo, comrade. Well, thanks for watching today. We'll catch you next time. Hopefully not in a big-ass, empty, depressing house. This light, though, look at that. That looks like it's straight out of a Duran Duran video from like 1998. Did they make videos in 1998? More like 1988.
We could get to see him revealed at E3 in June and released just a few months later.
Whoa! Wow. Obsolete after 2 years. I guess now Switch owners know what it's like to be a PC gamer. Boom, got us.
Obsolete might be overstating it because Sony and Microsoft did hardware refreshes like this too. Of course, you know this. It's looking more and more like hardware refreshes every few years. It's gonna be the